and welcome to the Cover One Buffalo podcast. You are joining your host, Greg Tompsett, along with my partner in crime, Aaron Quinn. Aaron, how we doing?
Sorry, I was distracted to start. I was trying to get that graphic out. Dude, this was just like a preseason game, so I was having things loaded up and ready to just go out. I'm done with this one. We got a lot of work ahead of us, Greg, but I think tonight we'd be remiss if we didn't just at least take some time here to enjoy the Ralph or Rich Stadium or whatever you call it. Maybe there's some people out there that call it the Cap still. I don't know.
I'll allow it.
But today was more of an emotional day, and boy, the story of the day, Greg, for me was how hard those red 90s looks hit for me today, and made me really as glad as I am to say I'm frustrated we have not seen them till today.
Yeah. You guys are joining us because the Buffalo Bills have defeated the New York Jets 35-8 in as Aaron said, basically a preseason game. Anyone who did not want to see or was against the red uniform, the red helmets, and the nice bonus of the Red Sox today, you can send your apologies in whenever you're ready. I hope you feel bad for being against that gloriousness. That looked fantastic. Okay. I love our regular uniforms. I love the white helmets. I'm not looking to switch permanently or anything stupid. But obviously it looked fantastic
I don't know that it's stupid to switch permanently and then make the other ones like the alt uniform. That looked good today, man.
It was fantastic. It looked gorgeous.
Yeah. And it's so unique. No other team has that red helmet look. It stands out. And it's so the vintage aspect of it. Yeah, I could go on all day. I think I tweeted out during the game. It's almost a crime to fandom that they didn't get this the last couple of years. Like, we could have Josh Allen playing in that stadium in those uniforms this whole time. Like I said, a couple times a year would have been fine with me. Make them the full uniform, that's fine. But God, give those to me a couple times, man. That look.
Yeah, I mean, we see the creamsicles more than once. We see the big
Atlanta
capital
Falcons.
D in Denver more than once. We see the Atlanta Falcons throwbacks more than once. We see the Seattle Seahawks beautiful 90s ones more than once. Like, that should be the primary throwback, and we should see it a couple times a year. Super easy.
Good. It looked good. Best part of the day.
Yes. Unfortunately, the number one goal for today, besides getting a win to, kind of put us into whatever position, I actually was fine with us losing. I would have been fine playing the Patriots next week. I don't care. Was to come through healthy. We almost made it. And then we found out Matt Prater injured his quad again. I will say a lot of fans saying like, oh, I wish that's why we should have arrested him and just gone for 2 every time or had Wisnowski kick off.
Right.
Sure. But I'd rather find this out right now than find out during the playoff game next week that his quad isn't healed. So sure, if you could tell me that we have some magic potion that was going to keep his quad healthy, sure, all right. Yes, of course, I wish he had arrested, but I'm going to assume that we would have found out about this re-injury at some point during this playoff journey. So I'd rather find out now to at least get a kicker in who's healthy. I don't know who that is. I know we had a list of guys with Young Hoku and some other guys in for a tryout.
It's not a good list.
Yeah, no, it's not good. After Michael Badgley's pretty terrible performance, I've had a couple people ask about Justin Tucker because of his name. Besides the allegations that he's a sexual predator, he was horrible for Baltimore. So he was a terrible
There's a reason
kicker.
He didn't come back in the league. Other teams,
yeah, like there's a reason he's not kicking. He was terrible at kicking. Besides the fact that he's potentially a serial predator. So I'm okay with him not being on our team, even if he was good at kicking, but he's not good at kicking. He's terrible at kicking. So we're good there.
Part of me kind of likes this, like, forced to go for it mentality too, that it weighs into a more aggressive nature to go for it when you have these guys. So I think that actually there's maybe some benefit to that going into the postseason. Obviously you want to be able to make your extra points, get those free ones when you can, but I don't hate the idea where and we even saw it in the last game. Josh played a full game. It didn't work out because the offense didn't play well, but that being more aggressive, like in a 4th and 4, where it's could be a long 50-something yard field goal and you don't trust the kicker, so you're actually going to go for it. I'm going to lean that way, and you need a big playoff run with some big plays here coming up. I'm going for it in those situations, I think, anyway. But to your point, Greg, I was pretty excited this week when we recorded our preview show that we were going to maybe get some kicks before the playoffs. So like anyone who wants to play that hindsight role of like, oh, if we could have just known, I didn't want them going in cold to the playoffs off 3 weeks and not getting any kicks. And so I think you're damned if you do, damned if you don't in that situation. I'm to your point, I'm glad they found out where they have some time here to all those people that they've tried out.
We had to find this out right now. We had to.
Yeah, you got now. You found out now. You know, it's not a new lingering thing, but it is not. It's like I tweeted this out too, Greg. It's such a Billsy annoying thing to have going in with all the injuries you've had this season. All the things like have your kicker just like dinged up and not able to go at this point in the season where it's a pretty dried up market is just such an annoying Billsy. I just hope that's not the thing that bites them on this run if they make a nice run.
Yeah, so the 3 guys who came in for the tryout after Michael Badgley's bad game was Young Ho Koo, Gavin Stewart, and Maddox Trujillo. I've never even heard of Gavin Stewart or Maddox Trujillo. I know the chat was talking about Rodrigo Blankenship. I like the rec specs. I'm good with that. I don't care. Whoever comes in and does the tryout and they bring in is what it is. But yeah, you were about to go against Jacksonville and Cam Little, who just hit another like 67-yarder. He has now the longest kick in indoors in NFL history and the longest kick outdoors in NFL history. So we're going to be at a disadvantage at kicker regardless going into this game. Yeah. Whatever. I don't care. It is what it is. Just bring somebody in who can make extra points, go score touchdowns. That's fine. That's it.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be something that weighs on us, but also what's going to be in the back of my mind here, I think we talked about it with like maybe some of the guys returning, how they're going to look, and when they return, we didn't see maybe some cold returns like we would have liked for guys coming off injury. Kind of frustrating to see Max Harrison get caught up and then walk off and look like he
looked like a high ankle, like he had it underneath him and then got like, so it was out this way and then we got bent back the other way over top. You know, obviously we don't know for sure, but the traditional mechanism of a high ankle sprain, he did walk off the field and then walked from the blue tent into the locker room, but he walked very gingerly. You know, no way to know for sure, but that's normally not a 1 week injury. So, you know, probably a fair, I'm sure he's going to get x-rays to,
sure. Yeah, if anybody sees in the chat,
yeah, give us an update
on that. Let us know. We're not online right now. I know producer Colin's probably keeping an eye out for some of that stuff too here, but
I know
I did see
Trey had been playing great. You know, Trey had been playing very well to the point of keeping him at the slightly lower end of the rotation. But obviously, we were very excited about the athleticism, the speed, the explosiveness, what he allowed from a man coverage option standpoint. So I'm going to guess at a minimum, we're not going to have that against Jacksonville, and then we'll see what else that could possibly entail.
Yeah, there's been a couple different comments here. Calvary Mike saying, glad we have Trey and Benford. I agree. I do think Trey's playing well enough. We talked about that also this week of like, man, I'd like to sit both these guys just because I like that depth going into the postseason. We saw what putting Kyrie Elam out there in a postseason game can do. And so there's definitely going to be, you're now a snap away from Dane Jackson coming in and guarding a Brian Thomas Jr. or having to do something that we don't want a Dane Jackson doing in a big playoff position. So that could be frustrating here as it is now into week to week elimination football. Definitely something to keep an eye on though. Obviously we're speculating here based on what we all saw in the game. I think everybody has the same feel that you just described for it, but we don't know. This is elimination football. Guys get up for a game like this. You just get taped up and you take a couple of whatever they give you and get going for this game. So I think that's one I'm following here closely this week. Greg, in this game and talking about health, were you as frustratedly nervous as seeing how good Dalton Kincaid looked and continuing to look good? And that like every catch, I was like, okay, I've seen that's good. I'm glad
I've seen enough. That's enough.
Let's get that done.
Dalton Kincaid ended up 3 carries for 48 yards or 3 catches for 48 yards. Looked pretty good on all of them.
Like was taking hits that I didn't need to see.
Yeah, correct. So I'm glad that they capped that pretty early, but he played on the first 2 or 3 drives of the game. So I was fine getting him out of there. I'm glad he looked good. We've been doing some work on what a kind of a secret weapon he can be for this offense and how hard he makes it to, be able to focus in and laser in on Khalil Shakir, and that he allows them to kind of continue to have 2 weapons over the middle. So I he's critical to the success of this offense. But I'll take it. He looked good. I don't think he got dinged up again. I think the knee looked okay. So I'm glad we got him out there for a little bit. But yeah, it was longer than I was hoping.
Yes, but I mean, again, this sort of ends up being the position that you get yourself into in a game like this, where I think he's another one of those guys where it is a delicate balance of he's dealt with this injury, but you want to continue to kind of get him some reps as you get into the postseason. But kind of transitioning from him, Greg, one that I was really surprised in this game that we did not see. We saw a lot of Josh Palmer in this game, but you know who we didn't see who was active? Didn't see a lot of Terrell Shavers in this game, which I think bodes well maybe for the Shaver stands as the Bills head into the postseason. You saw a lot of Gabe, you saw a lot of Coleman, and you saw a lot of Josh Palmer, who was supposed to be maybe a step ahead there on the depth chart.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting shout. I would have expected today to be more Terrell Shavers, and there was some where there's simply a numbers game where, hey, someone has to play. So I get that with some of the other. There are names we saw today that will be a part of the playoffs. So, the easiest one is like Osiris Torrance. Like someone had to play.
Yes.
Like it's
hopefully Gabe. I think Gabe looked good regardless of who he's going up against. Like made legit catches.
Yeah. Gabe Davis's big boy touchdown catch was awesome. Like that was like going up and mossing somebody in the end zone. Like that was cool to see. But yeah, that's an interesting call on the fact that Palmer was the guy soaking up snaps where I don't remember seeing much of Shavers at all.
I'm interested to see the snap counts because I was kind of when it became apparent that it was like kind of a thing, I started looking for Shavers. Didn't see a lot of Shavers.
Yeah, that's interesting. I do think that's going to be interesting to see. How about James Cook? Do you think he got enough to hold off Derrick Henry tonight? He ended up getting 2 carries for 15 yards. I think he's got like a 157-yard lead on Derrick Henry. And the one thing we have going for us is Pittsburgh is going to like fully sell out to stop the run with an injured Lamar Jackson. So I think that TJ Watt being back and that being there, I hope that he gets it. I think that it matters to him. James Leclerc here saying 153. I thought it was 157, but whatever the exact number is in that range, holding Derrick Henry under 150 yards. I'd like to see Jimbo get the rushing title. I think it matters to him. I think it matters to Cromer. I think it matters to the offensive line. Yeah. I think those guys care about that. Like that's a cool thing as a rushing unit to root for.
Mm-hmm. I think everyone in this organization cares about that. Everyone wins from James Cook getting that, right? Like all the people you just mentioned. I think Joe Brady is also in that winning camp. I think Sean McDermott wants that sort of thing in the building. He's taken a lot of flack for the quote unquote neutering Josh Allen and wanting to run the ball. And I think you see when this offense is at its best, James Cook is a central focus of that. And I think we've seen that in the blowouts this year when he's playing the way he plays and that explosion that he provides. So I think this is a win and really a guy that's taken a lot of lumps this year and really is on the hot seat with the fan base. I think this is a Brandon Beane win, right? Like if he gets that contract that he got and a very good deal, which could have been a much worse holdout for both sides, they both handled it well. For him to then come back and win the rushing title is one of the best kind of since the Josh Allen, one of the biggest gems on Brandon Beane's hat.
And like not some minor number, not like, some years someone has to win in the rushing title, but it's like 1,150 yards or 1,200 yards. Like he's got 1,606 yards with no fun. It's not like that was because of the 17th game. Like he barely even played in this week. So
this is one of the best running back years I can read. That Shady had a couple, but this is some of the most elite
9 100-yard games, 12 rushing touchdowns plus another 291 receiving and 2 receiving touchdowns. So
and he's probably going to be all pro.
1,897 yards. He should be
rushing title, all pro, maybe offensive player of the year.
Yeah, because the top. So I will say Bijan Robinson did almost break the NFL all-purpose yards record. So I won't be. You can't freak out if they give him the all-pro. I think it's fine to vote for James Cook, but I think Bijan had like 1,290 or 2,298 total yards, which is ridiculous. That's like
crazy,
all time. I think it was, approaching Chris Johnson's all-time record. So when you're having like LaDainian Tomlinson type seasons, like that's perfectly reasonable as well. But James had more rushing yardage and still had an incredible season on his own with, almost 1,900 total yards.
Crazy.
Anything else from this game? I know we're going to talk a lot about more kind of fun stories and things about being there at the stadium. Was pumped to see Ty Johnson get his
dude. He was grinding for it,
incentive.
Man. I was going to say, just pay
the
that
one
man.
Drive they gave him 6 straight touches.
Yes.
The previous one. So I know a couple people who wagered on the Ty Johnson overs and on the 2 touchdowns and had like quite a bit of money on it because they figured the team would try to do that. So the first time there, they get down there with Ty Johnson, and then they like threw to Gabe. They threw to, they tried to do a handoff to Reggie, and did like 4 other people to try to score, including that was, I think, Gabe's big boy touchdown.
Yes.
Then the next time down, they literally gave it to him 6 straight times, including getting stuffed on 4th down when I think he was kind of gassed and didn't have anything left.
Yeah.
So then getting to the final one and finally being like, oh, all right, let's do like a bootleg to get him a nice open look. That was schemed up nicely. So really glad that hit. And that, he got his $250,000. They also got the touches to Kincaid or Dalton Knox early and got him his touchdown catch and his yardage one. Yeah. So all the ones that were reasonably within reach were hit. The other ones were either guys who weren't going to play anyways, like Shakir or Bosa, or were not within, reasonable range.
Yeah. Yeah, that Ty Johnson one, man, though he almost looked like he got hurt too, like trying to do it at one point, and I was going to just pay this man, like just give him the touchdown. But I'm glad that he ended up getting it. Nobody deserves that kind of stuff more than a guy like that. He's coming in and done exactly what you need him to do in that role. So good for him of hitting that incentive. They make those hard to hit, so
they're there for a reason. They're part of negotiations for a reason. Ray Davis ran for 151 yards, 7.2 yards a carry. That was nice.
Yep. Flipping to the other side of the ball, I know the context of the game that it was, but I feel like Matthew Judon definitely displayed all of the things that I saw Matthew Judon display.
He did almost get his hands on that one screen pass.
He did get his hands on.
I saw him congratulate Fedarian Mathis really well on one play. So
he almost got memed off the turf when he slid, and Cook just juked him. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, there was.
Anyways,
so yeah, I don't know that he's going to be a big part of this play.
Like that was a fun defensive performance. Otherwise, I feel like other guys had some splash plays, but then I was hoping for him to prove me wrong. And
Joe Andreessen,
that's the Matthew Judon experience of the Bills season, maybe.
There's a very good chance that is the only time we're going to see him on the field. It's probably Javon Solomon, who's going to be defensive end 4, and it just is what it is. We're kind of hoping we could grab something, and
hopefully Bosa and Groot are so good and dominant. We don't even
just
talk about
all of the snaps should be Bosa, Groot, and Epinesa. And if you need a 4th guy for a quick blow, use Solomon and then get one of those 3 back.
We're in elimination football now. Yep. Oh man.
Not a ton else. Obviously we didn't have enough corners because even after Harrison got hurt, we had to put Trey back out there.
Trey was dominating Mitchell.
He
that was fun.
He was in good position, did fine. I don't think Brady Cook was going to test an awful lot, but in the playoffs, Dane Jackson will be eligible for elevation again, so we'll be able to use that for an extra outside corner. And hope that if we, once we get a game or 2 into the playoffs here, Max hopefully will be eligible and ready to come back in. But we're going to have to just hope that Trey and Benford stay healthy and we're good to go.
Speaking of, so it's Jacksonville. Do we have a date and time yet? When will we hear date and time?
No, that probably won't be known until either going into this Sunday night game or at halftime of the Sunday night game. Yeah. Everybody keep an eye out on the timeline. I have not seen anything, certainly nothing on TV, but
has anyone seen a predictive spread on that potential matchup? I think like Bills by 6.5.
No, it's in Jacksonville. There's no way it'll be that
1.5 to start.
Yeah, that was going to be my exact guess. Was Bills by 1.5.
Bills should smoke this team, man.
They've been playing really well, man. Like
They have, but it doesn't feel sustainable type of they're a team that could come out and smoke the Bills, but I think they could also they're like it's all explosive plays and generating crazy explosive defensive plays.
They've won 8 straight with 35, 27, 25, 36, 48, 34, 23, and 41. They have just been putting up a ton of points, including like that 34-20 win in Denver was really impressive. That win streak started with 35-6 against the Chargers. So like they have some ones, but their losses are when they play the Seahawks, when they play the Rams, when they play the Texans. So I do think there's some paper tiger allegations there. But their offense has been a freaking wagon down this stretch here. So I think there's certainly plenty to be able to, go at. I'm not upset. Like I think this is a coin flip no matter whether we played New England or whether we played Jacksonville or whether we played, I'm assuming it's going to be Baltimore tonight, but anyone other than Pittsburgh, I didn't really care because I think they're all capable of beating us and we're obviously capable of beating them. So I'm fine with it as we go into it. But Jacksonville has an offense that can put up a lot of points and we're going to have our crap together to be able to keep up because I don't think we're going to shut them down. I think we're going to have to outscore them.
We can put up a lot of points too. We can put up a stinker. We definitely have shown that.
I don't think their defense is anything special. I think their defense can be scored on. They have some. They have obviously Josh Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker and some pieces. They have some pieces.
For sure. They can make some crazy plays. I think it'll be an explosive play game. If it turns into an explosive play game, I think that plays into Jacksonville. I think if it turns into, hey, we can just run James Cook down your throat and make Josh Allen do some Josh Allen stuff, good luck keeping up with us.
Yeah, we're gonna need to force them. Voye, Louis Khan, Devin Lloyd, those guys. Like, hey, just make them make tackles out in space, get them on the edge on the perimeter against James Cook, and then get them coming up, and then hit them with play action. I do think you can beat their secondary. I think that's the way to do it. Is don't let them get into obvious plays because I think Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines Allen can rush the passer, but. We'll kind of see where that goes, and hopefully we'll find out the schedule here during the game.
Be cool
to be able to know what's going on. All right, anything else from the game today?
Oh man, I'm ready to switch into playoff mode after memory mode here.
Yeah, Darnell Savage, TJ Sanders, had his sack. I thought there was a couple positives there. Sure. Otherwise, it was hard to take much away from today.
Tough to, I mean, terrible Jets offense and performance.
But they're so bad. They're so bad.
The guys that you needed, like that have a potential role to play in the postseason, didn't look terrible on this defense. In fact, I still think guys like Mathis continue to flash when I see them, and so that's a good sign that you have some depth heading into the postseason that looks at least serviceable for you. So that was a good sign for the defense today. They continue to be able to, even with backups, confuse young quarterbacks in situations that are fun. Like there's no deep shots even attempted, I don't think, in this game. And that just continues to be something Bills can just kind of toy with some of these young QBs, no matter who the personnel is. So that was a fun one. I think you just, again, on the defensive side of the ball, worry about that Hairston health just because you're a snap away now, but feel good that Trey has looked good heading into this part of the season.
All right. So we will obviously have some exciting stuff there. We're working on getting our Jacksonville guests lined up for the preview show this week. Make sure to keep an eye out for that. But Aaron, I know you obviously were a season ticket holder for a while. I've spent a lot of days at the stadium here. Just thought we'd share some fun. Our drive of the game. I think we have a fun way to approach this, and even afterwards. So I'll let you do the drive of the game. I thought you had a good idea for that. I'm going to actually start with what's brewing. And some of the stuff that I had a chance to do, obviously, growing up in the Southern tier there and going to games, growing up was in the fun era and towards the, obviously the Super Bowl run, and even afterwards, still many of the Hall of Fame players on the team. But then it transitioned over as I was in college and went out here to Cleveland and was going to college here. And then most of my adult friends here were Browns fans. So I went to a ton of Browns games and Bills Browns games over the years, including some of the horrendous ones. I was actually joking with some of those friends today, telling them we were going to do this on the show. The 6-3 game where Derek Anderson had the winning box score. The winning quarterback was 2 of 17 for 27 yards.
Yeah, gross.
They almost scored one touchdown in that game, and it was to both Browns at the time and Bills legend Robert Royal, but he dropped the ball in the end zone. That game was absolutely horrendous. I remember there was a fun Monday night game that we came up to, and everyone like singing the national anthem, and like a really cool feeling of everybody being there all together. There was a weird preseason game that I went to where everybody tailgated probably a little more than we should have, and one of my friends started getting into it with some Bills fans, and I remember he drunkenly said something about Jim Kelly's son, and I turned and said, "Dude, I'm not jumping in unless you're bleeding." Like, you deserve whatever beating you're about to get. I'll jump in if you're bleeding, but not until then. So just a lot of, memories with friends and fun moments and opportunities to be there. And just something that I'll always, remember being there with family and friends. And I know, you were there a ton of opportunities for it. And I thought that was a cool way to do the show tonight.
Yeah, we're during that kind of period of time. Were you a Two Bills Drive forum guy? Like some of those tough losses and stuff, would you get on Two Bills Drive forums afterwards? Because I remember I lived in Maine during those years, and I remember like nobody wanted to talk Bills football with me, so I'd have to go on whatever forums were available. And I bet we argued back then before we even knew each other. I'm going to take it into the West Herr drive of the game here, and I brought this up because thinking about kind of today in this stadium, what the stadium's meant to me in whatever weird way. I think a lot of people have kind of talked about that here throughout the week and lead into this. And you're right, I was a season ticket holder here, but before that, living in Maine, my friends and I, my Patriots friends and I would come out here for games, and it was the best thing. We would pile a bunch of us into the car with the little bit of money and the scraps that we had, and we'd buy some tickets, but it was cheaper for us to come out here, especially during the drought, and watch a Patriots game in Western New York than it was for us living in Maine to go to Boston and do the same thing. And so it was a cheaper option. And we, from the first time we came to the many other times that we came throughout the years, we absolutely loved it. And we would just putt around downtown and just kind of pop around Buffalo. And because of that, I got to know the Buffalo area a little bit. I'd been here a couple times. And eventually, Greg, we had the opportunity to pick a place to live. And a big part of why my family has settled in Buffalo has to do with the Buffalo Bills. It has to do with the 90s Bills. It has to do with the trips that I would take to come out here from Maine with all my friends that were not Bills fans and tailgate and show them this experience. And then it's honestly been one of the best decisions that both my wife and I have made. We absolutely love it here. We love the roots that we've set up here. We were just looking through the old pictures today and driving down to the stadium. Within the first month we moved here, I took her to her first Bills game. And it was a Jets game, 2013, I think, January 2013. The Bills were eliminated from the playoffs. It was a total crap show. I think Noco was selling tickets 2 for $25 so that the game didn't black out, type of thing.
Pretty similar to the game today, just the other way around.
Yeah, but a way different vibe of excitement. And it was peak of Bill's people starting to go through tables and stuff like the mafia. And so she was like, "What is this place?" And then I finally convinced her. I remember I made this big binder to convince her that we needed to get season tickets. I think it was during the Doug Marrone years. And convinced her. We finally got some season tickets, and it was an absolute fantastic experience. And so that's another part of my West Herr drive of the game here is all those drives down while getting the season tickets and having season tickets was almost like a bit of a dream come true for a kid like me who didn't live in Buffalo, who didn't grow up in Buffalo. I didn't get to go to the stadium as those experiences. And so I didn't know how long we would end up living here, especially when we first got here. So to be able to get the season tickets and to say I did that for the 4+ years that we had season tickets, and shout out to my wife, the final year that we had them, Greg, she was, so my son's born in February, my oldest, and so she was like knee deep pregnant, sitting at these games, and like not super meaningful games even in the middle of winter. And so it's total trooper. But it has been embedded into our kids. It's into the legacy here that we've created in Buffalo. And so I'm definitely gonna miss the place. It was a great place to catch a game. I've been to a lot of stadiums too, Greg. I've sat all over that facility, top, bottom, right on the front row. There's not a bad seat in that place. And I hope that they at least get that right with this new stadium, that it keeps that vibe up.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there are some farther views for the way that it's set up, but it has like the old school college bowl style.
You're down in it.
Yeah, we
were up in the 300s for my season tickets. Like we're pretty high up there, but it's still a great clear view.
Yeah, and I do think they've talked about that in the design for the new stadium. But obviously we'll see once it gets set up. I hope that that's exactly the way that that it comes together, is being able to have fantastic views and make it really about the football and everything that's there. That's exactly the way that it should be done. I know there were things about the Clippers' new arena where like there are things that some stadiums do just for convenience or for the new technology, and they focused everything on, no, we want you like fully involved in the basketball and what's going on here. And, intentionally not putting a ton of monitors out in the concourses and in the bathroom, stuff like that. No, get back to your seat. We want you there watching the game. So I'm curious to see where they lean on some of those things in the new one. Obviously there's going to be new modern amenities. There's going to be easier access going around and everything there. But, there are certainly things that we've tolerated and gotten used to. This was not
the place needs to go. The place needs to get demolished.
There were some modern niceties, especially with things like access to bathrooms and to getting to food, or heck, even being able to have good food there. Like you couldn't make much of anything there. You had to bring things in, and then it was heated and nasty. And there's going to be some modern elements there. Heck, players weren't able to do much in the stadium. They would have to go over and get treatment over at the practice facility and then work their way over. Now they're going to be able to do things in the stadium. So there are some things from that standpoint that I think are going to be a real positive and a nice part of it. But, 53 years of games here at the stadium, a ton of memories, a ton of time with family and friends, and opportunities to be able to, just make memories with people that you care about. And I know there was a lot of that here today. I know some people had said, it wasn't as nostalgic for them because they're only moving across the stadium and they have tickets there too, and it's going to be over. That's fine. Like, I don't begrudge people for not having to feel a certain way about, an admittedly, pretty crummy facility. But I think for most people today was very meaningful and, bittersweet in the sense of what it makes them think of. No one's like, nostalgic for the building itself. It's the things that happened when you're there, the people you spent time with, the moments that you shared with people. And that's really what registered.
I still remember it was like 02, maybe 03. We came up. My brother, Bears fan, I talk about that all the time. We came up for a Bills Bears game. My dad drove us the first time and probably the last time the three of us were ever like doing something. I was almost an adult. I just graduated high school. My brother was an adult. And so we all went this big road trip. Great experience. But I'll never forget the feeling of how big of a Bills fan I was and walking through the concourse, coming out to our seats to seeing, it was like a beautiful September day in Western New York. The field was just glistening. The jerseys were the ugly navy blue jerseys, but a team warming up to play. And it was just that was like a magical moment that I don't care if it's a junky building. I don't care if it was the ugliest stadium left. Nothing replaces that. And so like that going into rubble, I'm an emotional guy. That's going to bring it for me, just knowing that was such a big part of that part of my life and has continued to be a big part each and every week of my life. And now what it's turned into, being able to do this show with you, all the people that we've met and been able to hang out with. So it's been super cool. So yeah, this today, man, tough to be not emotional. I get that people aren't about stuff like this, but man, this team's put us through a lot in that building.
Yeah, there was some rough moments there, but also some really cool ones and some amazing opportunities. And now, obviously, this last 5 to 7 years, in what the new team has been, and with Josh Allen and all the different pieces there, I did see a couple people calling for they should have brought Josh out for the last kneel down so that he took the last snap in the stadium, which was a nice sentiment. I don't fault them for not doing it. Like it was there, but I was curious and kind of watching, would they put him back in for that last snap to go out there and do that. But yeah, I'm watching a replay right now and I see Terrell Shavers on the field for James Cook's first snap. So he was on the field. He did play. But it looks like he played about as much as James Cook did.
Yeah.
So
good time for the Shavers side, man.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see where that goes next week.
Yeah, our West Herr drive of the game today, a little more of a emotional, literal drive to the game of driving there again, some core memories baked in the old brains.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was a great idea when you mentioned that earlier, and that's a big piece of it. And I know all the people who stayed after the game, and all the people who were a big part of what that stadium meant to them and to their sometimes family members who weren't there any longer. I thought that was a really cool way to do it.
Yep.
All right.
And the bonus is the new stadium, I don't believe, is built on a burial ground.
Yeah, so let's hope. Yeah, this one we avoid a Native American burial ground and all the
curses,
voodoo all the curses that we've had to work our way through. So that'll be nice. That'll be a bonus. We certainly can't be less healthy than we've been this year. So let's see where that one goes. But let's bring up Colin Ritchie here for any other nuggets or tidbits that we found in today's game, and then wish everyone a lovely week 18 and close out to the regular season. Colin, how we doing?
Doing great, guys. Always enjoy ending the regular season with a win, a blowout win at that against a division rival. So we'll take it, even if I was rooting for a Bills-Patriots playoff game in the wild card.
It was my preference, but ultimately it is what it is. I think we're going to have a shot at them either way, so we'll see where this goes. Although if we win, I think we automatically go. No. If we win, it'll depend on Denver Chargers. So Chargers Patriots.
Yeah.
So if the Chargers were to upset the Patriots, they would go to Denver. If we win, we would go to Denver because Denver plays the lowest seed no matter who it is because the NFL reseeds each round. So we'll see where that goes, but it's most likely that if we beat Jacksonville, we would go on to also then play in Denver. So hopefully that would mean a possible, can you imagine if it's the AFC Championship game in New England to go to the Super Bowl? It'd be pretty incredible.
That's a fun theory. I like that. I also like Bills hosting the Chargers AFC Championship.
Yeah, or Bills, there is that is the only chance. If the Chargers knock off the Patriots, they would then go to Denver. We would play the winner of Houston and Baltimore, or Pittsburgh. I'm assuming Houston, Baltimore. And then if we won that and the Chargers beat Denver, then we would host the Los Angeles Chargers in Buffalo in an AFC Championship game at home with a 6-7 matchup, which would be quite the AFC Championship game to be able to see. But with this year's AFC playoff field, I think anything's possible.
Right. We've seen crazier things happen in the NFL before.
All right. So any interesting nuggets? I know this week wasn't quite the same. We didn't get the 40th touchdown for Josh Allen. We might get the AFC rushing title. We won't know that until after the 8:00 game tonight with Derrick Henry. And the chat was correct. It's 153 yards he would need. Where he's James is up by 152 right now on Derrick Henry. So any nuggets that stood out from the game today?
Yeah, I've got some good nuggets for you guys. So this one comes from Bills PR. Mitch Trubisky is the 5th quarterback since the merger to throw 4 touchdowns in a game he didn't start. Because Josh Allen took the first snap. He technically gets the start. He also technically gets the win, but Trubisky threw 4 touchdowns today.
Interesting. Who are the other QBs? Anybody we would know? Did you have them?
They were not
Dang it.
listed, but I
go
always
look
like
that
to do
up.
some further digging onto that. So I'll
Yeah.
see if I can find anything else about that. We talk a lot about with the tight end records, how the Bills in franchise history just really have never had a good tight end. But how about never having two good tight ends at the same time? Because Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox became the first pair of Bills tight ends to record 400 receiving yards each in a single season.
That is
Which
kind of crazy.
400 yards is not that high of a bar to cross.
Yeah, but
It's
for
like
two,
the one with where they were talking about who the Jets' leading receiver still was, and it was Garrett Wilson with like 359, and he hadn't played since like October 6th or something like week 6 in the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple Bills got incentives today. So Dawson Knox with over 7 receiving yards and a receiving touchdown unlocked $200,000 in incentives. And with 2 touchdowns today, Ty Johnson unlocked $250,000 in incentives. Some Jets stats for you as well. The Jets are the first team in the Super Bowl era to lose 5 straight games by 21 plus points. And they also went an entire 17-game season without recording a defensive interception.
That one's crazy.
The Jets are so Billsy now.
That the no interception.
It's wild.
The Chicago Bears had
today.
22 interceptions on the season. 22. Yeah. And the Jets had 0.
You almost have to try to like not catch one. Like they hit their hands today. I have to imagine that's all over the film.
Yeah. The Quincy Williams one, he had a club on his hand, so I'll give him a little bit of a break.
Sure.
Like he literally didn't have fingers to grasp the ball. But that's
But the probability that you have that few with like how the ball just pops up in the air sometimes. Oh,
yeah, and
it's kind of wild.
I know it's random too, but like you have a defensive head coach as well. Like just to add another layer to that.
Do they though? We don't know now. We don't know now.
Wait, who did you pick as the best coach from this class, Aaron?
That's right. No, I took that L at the start of this. I thought, well, it's still to be determined because I do think maybe the Bears were in better situation than we all knew for a coach to come in. But yeah, it's looking like Ben Johnson was the engine that ran the success of the Detroit Lions, apparently.
I mean, this is like a historic coaching class. You talk about Vrabel's not a new coach, but between Vrabel and Ben Johnson and Liam Cohen and there's just unbelievable new coaches left and right, and the Jets and Aaron Glenn, good Lord.
It's not good.
Yeah.
Not a good situation. I think the Jets I think Aaron Rodgers totally killed the Jets, and that type of cancer I think they won't get by that with Aaron Glenn. That's going to be a 5-6 year unburial down there in Southern New York, if you will.
All right. Last one for you guys. Now, this literally just happened not too long ago. But do either of you guys remember the player who scored the final touchdown in the history of the old Bills Stadium?
The final touchdown?
The final touchdown in 1972
no, it was the Jets
or whatever
guy.
It is?
In the stadium that just had its last home game, like in the Ralph, the old Highmark Stadium. The player that scored the last touchdown, because this is going to be a trivia question now. And it literally just happened, but it's a guy.
Yes, but
it's a guy that
Andrew
didn't
Beck
know.
Was the fullback / tight end that Dorian Williams was covering. So Andrew Beck.
He had the final touchdown. Yes.
Yeah.
Tight end fullback Andrew Beck.
That is going to be a thing. That is going to be a stat. The last touchdown scored in Ralph Wilson / Highmark / New Era / Rich Stadium is going to be Jets fullback Andrew Beck, because Dorian Williams can't cover anyone.
And
he was a beast that day. That's what I'm going to tell my kids.
It was a sight to behold.
Yeah.
I'll do you one better. Who scored the final points? Because the Jets went for 2 and got it.
This was his first NFL game. Jets receiver 82 or 88.
I didn't know half the Jets today. I'm not going to pretend that
He is number 88, Greg, if that helps you at all.
88. Oh, I think they see it right here. Skinner.
Quentin Skinner. Quentin
See it in the chat. Thank you,
Final points at the Ralph. Quentin Skinner.
Yeah, huge Quentin Skinner guy.
That might be both those guys' career highlights.
I at least knew who Andrew Beck was. I think Beck was a fullback for the Broncos before
he was
before here. Like I
Houston,
actually
too, I think.
knew who he was. But yeah, I was not familiar with Quentin Skinner's game. But yeah, the last points scored at the stadium were by one Quentin Skinner.
Yeah. Last Bills points was a Mitch Trubisky pass to Ty Johnson for 6 yards, and then they failed the 2-point conversion.
That was
I'll take
a fun one with the kids watching because I was pulling for him because they were like, I thought you said this game doesn't matter. But then I'm like, I'm like, yes, like, get him a touchdown. And then explaining to my kids exactly how much that amount of money is because they're like, is that good? I was like, oh, yeah, that's good for everybody.
That even like NFL players, they're excited about that.
That is a good amount of money. Yeah.
That is good for everybody.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Appreciate it. This was a ton of fun to be able to talk through here. Can't wait. We get more playoff games, hopefully a month of playoff games. This is going to be hopefully a fantastic way to end this 2025 season. Colin, any final thoughts for the folks?
Go Bills.
Go Bills. Aaron, how about you?
Go Bills. I'm not even joking. I have Jaguars film pulled up. That's what I'm doing the rest of the night. I'm jumping right into the Jags. Duval, baby. Let's go. We'll see you.
Yeah. I'm excited. I can't wait. We're lining up our guests for Wednesday night. We're going to be talking with you guys later on here. But on behalf of fantastic producer Colin Ritchie and my lovely co-host Aaron Quinn, I am Greg Tompsett. You've been listening to Cover One Buffalo, and we are out.
Go Bills.